Hello and welcome. My name is Toffee and I'm joined here by Lewis Larcombe, talking about a pretty awesome EA game we saw a couple of days ago. Well, I saw the trailer, but you've actually had hands-on experience, like a lot of hands-on experience. It's a game called Wild Hearts. It was actually revealed a couple of days and a week ago. It is looking very, very similar to a particular Capcom game that we've seen time and again. And let's not mince words, it's basically EA's version of Monster Hunter, but is that comparison fair and apt, or is there more to it, Lewis?
I don't know. I think it's EA's definitely like they take a lot of inspiration when making Wild Hearts from Monster Hunter, but although it's comparable, it is very different. There's like a building aspect to it. It's a lot faster paced as well. But I think for me, from at least the presentation, because I went to the presentation for it, and from what they described, they kind of want to take they want to have their own take on the hunting genre, a bit differently from Capcom, because right now Capcom pretty much just owns the hunting franchise, like the hunting genre, with Monster Hunter. This is their take on it. They just want it to be more, they want to revolutionize it, kind of expand it so it's a lot more accessible to other companies as well. So they just trying to create that foundation for that, for sure.
Yeah, I've noticed Capcom has always been the king of the big game action adventure genre.
Yeah.
Like, I remember there was a time when the PS Vita came out, and that was eons ago, where you had like Tokiden, you had Soul Sacrifice, which were trying to get that mantle of like the co-op kill big monster kind of genre with... Oh, and there's also God Eater, let's not forget God Eater, which is still alive and kicking. Well, maybe not really, I'm not too sure, but I think this could be like another resurgence. I mean, how confident are you with the team? I believe it's the Omega Force team from Koei Tecmo. How confident are you? I mean, given that you have seen Dynasty Warriors, you have seen the Musou games in action and played them to a point in your life. How do you think they would handle this game, and why just from your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Dynasty Warriors, specifically the Empire's side of Dynasty Warriors. But I mean, I grew up playing Dynasty Warriors 4 on the PS2, and one of my favorite games of all time. So going into this, knowing that Koei and Omega Force were behind it, I was expecting a lot more of hack and slash kind of gameplay and mechanics. It is extremely hard. I can't help but compare the difficulties of some of the kimono or the monsters to be something that reminiscent of something like Dark Souls or Elden Ring in terms of like the strategy you have to play. There's like a certain algorithm to which how the monsters act and like how they attack. So you have to kind of strategize around that. So it's not as brain dead and brainless like like Dynasty Warriors, where it's just a simple hack and slash.
It looks very promising from the 7-minute footage I've seen so far. You've played it. Like, how do you feel about are you a fan of the setting? I mean, how it looks, how the fidelity of it all in that fantasy land with the different seasons and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, Koei Tecmo has always done a good job at nailing the aesthetics of games. Whether it be Dynasty Warriors, they kept it, even though a lot of it is obviously fictionalized, it's based on, the Three Kingdoms and whatnot, and they make it somewhat accurate to that era of like China. Obviously, Samurai Warriors as well, the same with Japan. But Wild Hearts takes place in fantasy-fueled with Japan, so it's a take on Japan that is kind of like almost like fantasy-esque, although like it still remains true to Japan and the aesthetic that it brings, but there's definitely a certain amount of fantasy in it, and especially where it comes to the terrain. It's something that you wouldn't really clock that it was Japan straight away, but as soon as you see like certain things here and there, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Do you see people flocking to this game if they're scared of like legacy Monster Hunter games, or is this the kind of game that's gonna attract Monster Hunter fans?
It was a tiny bit clunky, the movement and the camera. This is something I found with Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, which is the camera movement can be a little bit clunky from time to time, but the movement itself Does need a little bit of polishing here and there. Obviously, Koei, sometimes they've always had bugs with the character designs and whatnot, so sometimes your hair will glitch out and whatnot. So there's still some visual aspects as well that needs to be fixed. But other than that, movement-wise, it just needs to be polished up really. I feel like there's more room for like combos and stuff like that. It's really limited when it comes to the combat. But then there is also the aspect of having different weapons. You can have a katana, you can have a bow, you can have like a massive, blade, which is like, looks like something out of like Bleach. There's definitely room to improve there, but obviously with updates and whatnot, there's definitely a chance for them to improve upon all of that.
There's also like the gadgets I saw on the trailer itself, where you can just put out like a little gyrocopter or something that can springboard you. Maybe talk more about that. I mean, you talked about the weapons, but what about like the support items, especially if there's some that your teammates can use?
Yeah. Another aspect of it is Karakuri, which is the term that they use for like, it's almost like Fortnite-esque building mechanic that they have that you
I'm
can
getting
use.
that vibe actually.
But it's not as you don't. I mean, I'm sure there'll be players who will be absolutely cracked and just be able to just build things on an instant. But it is really, you can utilize things, the Karakuri, where you can use it to block off certain pathways that monsters will take, or they'll crash into, and then it'll stun them. You can also use like a little helicopter thing where you can fly above them and then you can jump off and strike them down. So there's definitely that aspect. I think that's what really makes it different from Monster Hunter, is that it's this new building mechanic. It's literally like Fortnite meets Monster Hunter meets the Dynasty Warriors-esque movement and gameplay. So but yeah, definitely that.
How many of the Karakuris did you get to play around with? Like, how many were there available in the demo you checked out?
So you got the main one, the box. So pretty much the box, the standard box is you can use it to kind of like a jump pad in a sense. So you can use it to climb walls and whatnot. You can also use it, you can like build 3 on top of each other and make it like a really high jumping pier where you can just dive down and just strike monsters and whatnot. There's also like this cool little spring where like you place it down and then it'll like boost you in a certain direction, so it's really good for like if you're trying to evade like a monster's attack and whatnot. There's also a zip line, which you don't really get to use too much until like the end of the demo, and even then you only use it once. But again, you can utilize it in the same sense of get an elevation on the monsters and then strike them down.
Okay. About the zip line, you attach it from a high point and then you shoot it at a low point, or any other point?
Any. I believe the way the Karakuri system works is just it's not strictly based on physics. It's kind of like the Karakuri itself creates like working mechanisms that'll have like gears and stuff like that. So like when you shoot a zip line going up, when you grab onto it, there's like this wheel that's on the zip line that kind of just pulls you along, even though like gravity wouldn't normally let you go up. Yeah,
this is actually sounding really cool. And in terms of you trying to use this Karakuri and also attacking, I mean, was it alright when did you get used to the controls? Were they less complicated than they seem to be?
Yeah, I mean, at first it's obviously overwhelming. I think that's the biggest thing that puts a lot of people off of games like Fortnite, which is like it looks really intimidating at first. But once you start using it and start like implementing it, you'll realize there's a certain rhythm and pattern to how you build things. For example, if you build using the bog standard boxes, if you build it 2x3, it creates this massive wall by itself. Which you can use to block off like the biggest monster in the game, which is King Tusk. So there's that aspect of it, and then also when it comes to like switching between like if you want to make a spring, or if you want to put the boxes down, or if you want to create like, for example, like a campfire or whatever, that's where it kind of gets a little bit more complicated.
You also got the monsters. So you fought King Tusk. Were there any other monsters in the demo, or is just that big guy?
Yeah, there's King Tusk. I mean, he's like the quote unquote boss of the demo. And then you've got I can't remember what the name is. You got like this massive rat with like a wrecking ball on its tail. And then you've got this this amber monster. It looks like it shoots lava out of itself, but it's not. It's like it's boiling hot amber. I think I have to say that was probably one of the hardest kimono to fight. As for like the King Tusk, it was it was really algorithmic. You could literally just like you would just have to dodge his attacks and then deal damage until it runs away, and then you have to chase it again, and then you rinse and repeat. As for that specific monster was really, really hard. It had a wide plethora of attacks that you just didn't really expect. He's definitely part of the main quest. From my experience, I could only find him once because they spawn in different locations and you can replay to fight them. But in my playthrough, at least, he spawns outside of the playable area. So like there's still some customizability in the demo, and you need some of his materials to make like better armor and stuff like that. And I just haven't been able to get it because he spawned outside of the playable area. So I wasn't able to further play against him anymore.
In any case, it sounds really, really fun, dude. Like,
Yeah,
this is definitely
really
something
is.
you want to bring your friends in. You play it by yourself, that seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
But imagine having like a crack team, taking down particular monsters, especially that Ember dude. He probably needs a good trashing from like a full party, right?
Yeah,
It's max 4
definitely.
players, right? Or do you know?
Max 3.
Max 3, okay. Yeah, good trashing from 3 players. Now, that all sounds well and good, but I think you know what my last question is going to be, given it's the history of its publisher.
Yeah.
How do you think EA might cock it up? Or do you think they're going to give like a hands-off approach, stay away from Koei Tecmo and do their magic?
I think for me, the most surprising thing was, so in the press conference, they said that they have no current plans for any microtransactions, which was really surprising, knowing EA. And they said that on the off chance that they do, it will only be for cosmetics. So that's, when you look at like Koei's other stuff as well, they haven't really implemented too many microtransactions, only like DLCs and whatnot. So I can imagine some DLCs and maybe some like cosmetic microtransactions coming in the future, maybe being overpriced here and there because it's EA. But my biggest issue is the servers. Because I did get a chance to play online a little bit, and the servers were pretty stable. But obviously, it's in beta and it's got a small player pool at the moment, so the servers weren't too overloaded. But knowing EA servers, they have gotten better with it over the past couple of years. But EA being EA, they'll always have some of the worst servers in the industry. That's probably my biggest worry at the moment. And then there's bug fixes. Bug fixes is something that it depends whether or not it will go through EA or if the bug reports will go directly to Koei. Because Koei is very quick to fix any bugs that they have. It depends on EA. Even if it goes to Koei directly, EA will have to publish it onto the Origin site. So it depends on how fast it will be for EA to roll out the updates and whatnot. So that's one thing I'm definitely worried about, is if there are any game-breaking bugs, they might take a while to fix them, even if Koei already has them encoded or fixed. Yeah.
But overall, sounds like a very promising Monster Hunter style game.
Yeah, for sure. I think it has a very, very large opportunity to be hyped, and to definitely be like the talk of the town, just like Elden Ring. It really depends on how it's marketed. But yeah, from playing it feels like there's, because it relies, there's a lot more emphasis on multiplayer rather than Elden Ring did. I feel like there's a lot more chance for example, streamers to get involved and to play with their friends and whatnot. And I feel like there's a large market for that.
All right. Thank you so much for your report and preview, Lewis. That is awesome stuff. Sounds very promising. I wouldn't mind jumping into this game myself when it comes out, and I believe it should be coming out February 2023, right? Unless there's any delays happening, which you never know about with these things with the game development and all that. So thanks again, Lewis.
No worries.
And this is me, Mr. Toffee, signing out. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our page and whatnot on YouTube. And that is it. See ya. Bye-bye.